Jake was an ordinary guy in a gray work suit with a bag slung over his shoulder. His day went as usual, routine work, a short lunch, and a long journey home. But as he passed by a narrow alley, something made him slow down. In the dark corner of the alley stood a dark silhouette, seemingly peering out from the shadows. Jake stopped, clutching his bag tighter, trying to make out what creature it was. But the more he looked, the less distinct it became. Was it just a figure in the darkness or something more substantial? Feeling a slight shiver, Jake decisively turned and continued on, waving off strange thoughts. But the feeling of being watched lingered. Late at night, as Jake was returning home, he heard a faint rustle behind him. He stopped and looked around, but there was no one there. His heart began to beat faster as he felt someone or something unseen watching him from the shadows. With each step along the street, the feeling of fear grew. Eventually, he decided it was just his imagination and quickened his pace to get home faster. But as he turned the corner, he saw something incredible. The dark silhouette he had seen in the alley was now following him on the street. It was a strange creature, half blurred and emitting a faint light. Jake felt a chill down his spine as the creature, making no sound, continued to follow him, keeping a safe distance. He hastened his steps, but the creature kept up. Jake felt his heart pounding as he heard footsteps behind him. Finally, he reached his home and slammed the door shut behind him with relief. The next morning, Jake woke up with a headache and a feeling as if he had just emerged from a nightmare. But something made him look out the window, and he saw it. The same dark creature that had stood in the alley was now at the bottom of his window, staring right at him. His heart froze. He closed his eyes, rubbed them, but when he opened them again, the creature had disappeared. He felt like he was going crazy, but as he tried to forget about it and began to prepare for the day, something made him pause. He heard a sound like a quiet whisper from outside his window. He cautiously approached the window and looked down. The creature was there again, but this time it was closer. He heard his own breath becoming heavier as the creature raised its head and locked eyes with him. But when Jake finally gathered the courage to go outside and confront it, the creature vanished into thin air, as if it had never existed. Fear and paranoia began to consume Jake. He felt like he was being watched wherever he went. Even in his own home, he couldn't feel safe. He decided to go to a friend's house, hoping that their company would help him forget about the strange events of the previous night. But as they sat together, looking at photos and laughing, Jake felt goosebumps appearing on his skin. He turned around and saw the creature standing outside the window, staring right at him. He jumped to his feet, terrified, but when his friend turned to see what was happening, the creature had disappeared. They heard a scream from the neighboring apartment. Their hearts raced with horror. Jake felt that his secret fears were becoming a reality. They rushed to the door to go outside and saw that the street was empty, with no sign of the creature that had just been standing at the window. The next morning, Jake decided to seek help from a specialist. He told them about his strange experiences and described the creature that had been following him. The psychologist listened attentively and suggested that he stay overnight at the clinic for observation. But as Jake spent the night in his room, he heard whispers behind his door. He approached cautiously and began to hear quiet footsteps behind the door. His heart raced as he realized that the creature that had been following him was here, in the clinic. He decided to take action. Waiting until all was quiet, he abruptly opened the door. But there was no one there, only a dimly lit corridor and the quiet creak of a wooden door at the end. Jake felt like he was losing his mind. He began to doubt his sanity, as it seemed impossible for all of this to be real. But every time he thought it was over, that it was all just his imagination, something happened that made him believe in the reality of the fear that gripped him. He decided to go to work, trying to distract himself. But even there, he couldn't escape the feeling of being watched, of something unseen observing him from the shadows. He felt paranoia invading his mind, fear robbing him of control. When night fell, Jake, exhausted and tormented, decided to stay at work late to catch up on tasks. He didn't want to go back to his home, where the unknown creature awaited him. As Jake stood face to face with the dark silhouette, a surge of courage welled up within him. He refused to let fear dominate him any longer. "What do you want from me?" he demanded, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through his veins. The creature remained silent, its inscrutable gaze fixed on him. But instead of feeling terror, Jake felt a strange sense of resolve wash over him. He squared his shoulders, meeting the creature's gaze with unwavering determination. In a sudden burst of clarity, Jake realized that he held the power to confront his fears. With a deep breath, he took a step forward, refusing to back down. The creature began to waver, its form flickering like a dying flame. With each step closer, Jake felt the grip of fear loosening its hold on him. He reached out a trembling hand, his fingertips tingling with anticipation. And then, in a flash of blinding light, the creature vanished into thin air, leaving Jake standing alone in the darkness. As Jake processed the events of that fateful night, a newfound sense of clarity descended upon him. The nightmares that had tormented him for so long began to unravel, revealing hidden truths lurking beneath the surface. He delved deep into his psyche, exploring the root of his fears with unwavering determination. Through introspection and self-reflection, he unearthed long-buried emotions and unresolved traumas, piecing together the fragments of his shattered psyche. With each revelation, Jake felt a weight lift from his shoulders, as though he were shedding the layers of his former self. He embraced the darkness within him, recognizing it not as a source of fear, but as a catalyst for transformation. In the depths of his soul, Jake discovered a reservoir of strength he never knew he possessed. He forged ahead with newfound purpose, determined to confront his demons head-on and emerge victorious. In the wake of his confrontation with the unknown, Jake embarked on a journey of self-discovery unlike any he had known before. He traversed the labyrinth of his own mind, navigating through the twists and turns of his innermost thoughts and emotions. With each passing day, Jake felt himself growing stronger, more resilient in the face of adversity. He embraced the challenges that lay before him, viewing them not as obstacles, but as opportunities for growth and self-improvement. Through the practice of mindfulness and meditation, Jake cultivated a sense of inner peace and serenity that transcended the chaos of the outside world. He learned to quiet the incessant chatter of his mind, finding solace in the stillness that lay within. As he journeyed deeper into the recesses of his soul, Jake discovered a profound sense of interconnectedness with the universe. He realized that he was not alone in his struggles, but part of a greater whole, bound together by the threads of destiny and fate. With each passing day, Jake felt himself undergoing a metamorphosis, shedding his old self like a snake shedding its skin. He emerged from the crucible of his own fears reborn, a phoenix rising from the ashes of his former self. Gone were the days of cowering in the shadows, paralyzed by fear and uncertainty. In their place stood a man forged in the fires of adversity, unyielding in his resolve to carve out his own destiny. Armed with newfound wisdom and inner strength, Jake embarked on a journey of self-discovery and self-actualization. He embraced the challenges that lay ahead with open arms, viewing them not as obstacles, but as stepping stones on the path to enlightenment. With each step forward, Jake felt the weight of the past lifting from his shoulders, replaced by a sense of boundless possibility and potential. He looked to the future with optimism and hope, knowing that whatever trials and tribulations lay ahead, he would face them with courage and grace. And as he walked boldly into the unknown, Jake knew that he was no longer defined by his fears, but by the boundless potential that lay within him, waiting to be unleashed upon the world.